Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Raiders Nation Report, where we dive deep into all things silver and black. I'm your host, bringing you the latest from the gridiron with that unbreakable passion for NFL football. Now picture this. What happens when a storied rivalry like the Raiders versus the Chiefs turns into a one-sided affair that leaves fans scratching their heads and wondering if the offense has gone into hiding?
That's exactly what unfolded this past Sunday in a game that had all the makings of a classic AFC West showdown but ended up as a nightmare for Las Vegas. Buckle up, folks, because we're breaking it all down. The good, the bad, and the downright ugly in the Raiders' 31-0 shutout loss to the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Let's start with the hook that had everyone talking, a complete offensive meltdown for the Raiders, who couldn't muster a single point against their bitter rivals. That's right, 0 points on the board in a game where the Chiefs looked like they were playing on easy mode. Patrick Mahomes and company racked up 31 unanswered points, with Rashee Rice hauling in 2 touchdowns in his return to the lineup, and the Chiefs' defense swarming like a pack of wolves. For the Raiders, it was a performance that echoed some of their toughest days, reminding us why this team has been fighting to reclaim its glory since those iconic Super Bowl wins back in the day. But hey, Raider Nation, we've been through worse. Remember the Tuck Rule game or the heartbreaks in Oakland? This is just another chapter in a saga that's seen us rise from the ashes time and again. Diving into the summary of this disappointing outing, the Raiders came in emphasizing competition all off-season, talking about building a tough, resilient squad under head coach Pete Carroll. Yeah, the legendary coach who joined the Silver and Black this year after his storied run with the Seahawks. But when it mattered most, against the defending champs, Las Vegas simply didn't show up. The offense, led by quarterback Geno Smith, who was acquired in a bold off-season trade to bring veteran savvy to the position, struggled from the jump. Smith went 10 for 16, throwing for just 67 yards, no touchdowns, and no picks, but the lack of rhythm was evident. The running game, barely there, with rookie sensation Ashton Jeanty managing only 21 yards on 6 carries. Total yards for the Raiders, a paltry 95, compared to Kansas City's whopping 434. It was a blowout that saw the Chiefs dominate time of possession, holding the ball for over 42 minutes and limiting Las Vegas to just 3 first downs. Ouch. Now, let's get into the in-depth analysis, because this wasn't just a bad day at the office, it felt like the whole building was on fire. Tyler Sullivan over at CBS Sports nailed it when he said the Raiders' offense is completely broken and might be beyond repair right now. Sullivan pointed out how, with 7 minutes left in the game and the score already 31-0, Coach Carroll made the call to bench Smith and bring in backup Kenny Pickett, who joined the team via another savvy move to add depth at QB. You'd think Pickett would seize the moment, right? Maybe flash some of that Pittsburgh grit and make a case for more playing time. But nope, on his very first snap, he bobbles the ball, it hits the turf, and boom, the Chiefs recover the fumble. Talk about a disastrous debut in that spot. It wasn't the compelling argument for a quarterback switch that fans were hoping for. And let's not sugarcoat it, the issues run deep. The offensive line couldn't protect, giving up pressures left and right, and the receivers struggled to get open against Kansas City's secondary. Trey Tucker led the way with 5 catches for 33 yards, but that's not moving the chains. On defense, the Raiders had some bright spots. Guys like Max Crosby, our perennial Pro Bowler and sack machine, hustled as always, but even he couldn't contain Mahomes, who threw for 286 yards and 3 TDs with a near-perfect rating. Speaking of the defense, let's give credit where it's due. While the unit allowed 31 points, they were on the field forever thanks to the offense's 3-and-outs. Safety Isaiah Polamau and linebacker Elandon Roberts combined for some solid tackles, and Jamal Adams even notched a sack. But facing a Chiefs offense that's clicking with Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and now a healthy Rashee Rice? That's a tall order. Tactically, Carroll's scheme emphasized zone coverage to contain the deep ball, but the Chiefs exploited the underneath routes, with Rice and Kelce feasting on short gains that turned into big plays. Comparatively, look at the stats. Chiefs converted 9 of 14 third downs, while the Raiders went 1 for 10. That's the difference between a contender and a team in rebuild mode. Injuries didn't help either. Las Vegas is missing key pieces like tight end Michael Mayer at full strength and some linemen, but luckily, a few players are nearing return, which could spark a turnaround. To put this in historical context, folks, the Raiders have a rich legacy that's all about resilience. Founded as the Oakland Raiders in 1960, they've got 3 Super Bowl rings, 11, 15, and 18, with legends like Marcus Allen rushing for MVPs and Howie Long anchoring that fearsome defensive line. The move to Las Vegas in 2020 brought the glitz of Allegiant Stadium, that black hole of a venue where Raider Nation turns up the volume. But rivalries like this one with the Chiefs? They've been heated since the AFL days. Kansas City has owned the series lately, winning 14 of the last 16 meetings, including playoffs. Remember the 2016 thriller where Derek Carr led a comeback, or the 2022 overtime heartbreaker? This 31-0 drubbing ties for the worst shutout in franchise history, matching losses from the 1960s. Statistically, the Raiders are now 2-5 on the season, dead last in the AFC West, with an offense ranking 30th in yards per game at under 280. Compare that to their 2021 playoff run under interim coach Rich Bisaccia, where they averaged over 350 yards. It's a stark drop-off, but history shows us the Raiders bounce back. Think of the Autumn Wind poem that captures their pirate spirit: swift, ruthless, and always raiding. Let's mix in some fictional flavor to bring this to life. Imagine I caught up with Geno Smith post-game in the locker room. He told me, "Man, it's tough out there. I think some guys are pressing too hard, you know? We all want to win so bad, we've sacrificed everything for this. But when penalties and turnovers pile up, it's not just me, it's the whole team hurting. We've got to look at the bigger picture, play smarter, and make those plays for each other." Spot on, Geno. And what about Coach Carroll? In a hypothetical presser, he might say, "We're not pointing fingers, we're building. Geno's our guy, but we needed to see what Kenny could do. That fumble. It's a learning moment. We'll get back to the drawing board and come out swinging next week." Even a fan from Raider Nation, let's call him Die Hard Dave from Vegas, chimed in on social media, "This hurts, but we're loyal. Remember when we upset the Chiefs in 2020? We'll be back. Just win, baby." Shifting to expert opinions, I've got to say, as someone who's covered the NFL for years, this loss highlights deeper issues. The Raiders front office, led by GM Tom Telesco, focused on defense in the draft, snagging talents like edge rusher Tyree Wilson, but the offense needs a revamp. Fictional analyst buddy of mine, let's say ESPN's fictional Raiders expert Jax Thompson, opines, "Smith's accuracy is there at 62%, but the play calling lacks creativity. They need to incorporate more play action to free up guys like Davante Adams." Wait, Adams was traded last year, but imagine if he was still here. Current stars like Brock Bowers at tight end could be game changers if utilized right. Pop culture tie-in. This game felt like a scene from Any Given Sunday, where the team's frustrations boil over. And with the NFL's push into Vegas entertainment, think about how stars like Usher or Adele might be courtside at Allegiant. But right now, the show's a flop. Looking ahead to predictions and implications, this defeat drops the Raiders to the bottom of the division,